Welcome back to Beast Machines Monday. I'm your host, Predacon Bill. And I'm your host, Decepticon Bill.
Do you know how hard it would be to do an entire episode like that?
That'd be very taxing.
Yeah.
On the old vocally cords. Yeah. Tomorrow I'd be like, I can't. Today we are talking about End of the Line.
It's a long line.
Yeah, it's been a long line of 13 episodes to reach this point.
It's like being at ICBC, waiting to renew your insurance or get your license or whatever it is that you got to do. Or just to ask a question, only to be told that you need to bring 2 pieces of mail from your current mailing address. And you're like, I just moved in. How am I supposed to do that?
This is basically a metaphor of what this episode is really about.
100%.
Yeah.
So this episode starts, Rat Trap and Cheetor are hacking into the data system. So that way the fences come back online because the raptors know how to use doors.
Cheetor's like, uh-oh, speaking of raptors, here come some tank drones.
Which are pretty much raptors, but they're like the long lost cousins of raptors, right?
Yeah, they're the Cybertronian equivalent of velociraptors.
Yeah, they're teasing us with all those this little Dinobot Easter egg. We know what they're doing. We know what they're up to. I'm gonna put this away now.
Yeah, I was like, is he gonna do this the whole review? Ratchaps, he finds something though in the computer. He's like, whoa, wait a minute, this is super important. And Cheetor's like, out of time, zoom, and he pulls him out of the socket.
I think that would hurt.
Yeah, I would feel like it would, yeah. If not like physically, at least mentally. Because Rattrap was almost at the point of no return. So now they're surrounded by tanks, and Cheetor's like, well, I guess I better transform and destroy the tanks as I normally do. But Rattrap's like, whoa, watch this. Whoosh, and he throws this thing. And then it looks kind of like the proximity mines in GoldenEye.
That's what they reminded me of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you could like, blow them up. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So Rattrap throws one of those proximity mines, only instead of an explosion, it is a big vine trap. He apparently mixed in some of the growing program thing, plus some seeds, plus some goop, and boom, you got a little like vine bomb. Cheetor's like, hey, cool. So Cheetor and Rattrap get back to the Maximal base. Optimus gets a vision from the Oracle. Even though last episode he was like, I think someone's tampered with the Oracle. He kind of forgot about that for a little bit.
Because oracles are something you can tamper with.
Yeah, you just go in there, you switch the red wire with the blue wire. And
Careful not to explode it, right? Make sure you don't cross the streams. Use your 3D goggles to...
You have to turn the little puzzle back into Megatron's head.
Exactly.
Yeah. The Oracle gives it this vision of bad things happening to Cybertron, but there is a way to stop it. So Cheetor gives the update. He's like, oh, by the way...
We use tank vine bombs.
And it worked pretty cool. And Ratchat's like, oh, by the way, Megatron's planning to shoot the planet core.
The planet core. And then Optimus was like, better that here than in the core. That's what the mister say. And then he went running off.
He's always saying that, Optimus. He's just such a goof. So he's like, guys, come on. I'll show you something cool. So then they go down, I guess, somewhere where they didn't know it was there, but now they do know. And Optimus is like, this is the place with the power supply.
First, they're like, but why are we transformed, Optimus? There's got to be a reason for this. And he's like, don't worry. I'll tell you later.
If I explain it, then it's not going to be a surprise for the audience. And boom, in comes this mole. It's like...
And it's only the mole itself, just the one mole.
Just one mole.
They did trash the mole factory.
That's true, actually. Maybe you'd like one more mole.
And he's like, my last mole.
So Optimus's eyes glow green because they can, apparently.
Because he can control it.
Yeah. And then he gets the power supply core to shoot the mole, and poof, it's gone.
Yeah, it just disappears.
And everyone's like, whoa!
After they transform back into the beast mode.
Yes. I'm going to take this core, this power core, and I'm going to make every technological thing disappear on the planet because that's what we call monkey business.
Yeah. That's what the Oracle wanted us to do the whole time. And Cheetor's like, hey, if you do that, you're no better than them.
You're like Megatron, but the opposite of Megatron.
Which is worse.
And then Optimus is like, well, guess what, second in command? What would you do? And Cheetor's like, well, I guess we could just take the fight to them and throw Rattrap's bomb thingies, and then he can plug into the thing and shut it all down. And Optimus is like, oh,
That's a really good idea.
that's actually like a lot less genocidal.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
And so they do. But they have always got the plan B because Optimus can control the plasma core. So then they leave, because that's a better plan. And then, there's a weird camera thing watching them. And who's watching through the camera lens? None other than Rhinox. And he's all like, oh, look, it's all going part of my plan.
Now I've got Pawn A doing the pawn stuff, and then Pawn B will be doing other pawn stuff, and I'm in charge, and I'm so smart.
Look, all my tanks have the key. Keys work. And then they don't. He's like, damn it. Megatron doesn't trust me.
Because he thinks I'm dead. So I guess, yes, there's a flaw in your plan there, Rhinox.
Why would he think that he would still have control over the other tanks if Megatron thinks he's dead?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why wouldn't Megatron just retain command of the tanks?
Which he did. So yeah, Rhinox, you didn't think it through, buddy.
The Rhinoceros isn't as smart as Megatron thought.
I guess he thought, like, Megatron's not the kind of guy who, like, changes his passwords.
All right.
Right. So he thought Megatron's password was still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
That's the same as password that's on my luggage. We borrowed that joke for those of you who were...
Yeah, if you're not aware. Turns out Megatron does update his passwords, and he does update his software quite often. And that's what happens when you fully embrace the full technological lifestyle.
Yeah, especially considering Megatron, his latest updates require two-step authentication.
It's the best way to make sure.
So are you actually the person who is supposed to access this with this password? Because I don't see a thumbprint scan.
Actually, though, he does get a little hung up. There's one part where it asks if he's a robot, and it says, I am not a robot. And he's like,
damn.
He's like, oh.
I can't lie.
Oh, got me again. Jarvis goes on behalf of Rhinox to try and implore Megatron to do what Rhinox wants to do. Start shooting the core and stuff.
Start shooting everything.
Turn Cybertron technological. Do it now. So the Maximals do indeed begin their attack. Apparently they made a lot. These Proxmines.
Proxyvines?
The Proxyvines. Yeah, they made a lot of them. So they're just throwing them left, right, and center. I guess except for Black Arachnia, who just uses her webs like she always does. So
I really like that.
She's like, I don't need them. I don't need your proximity mines. I am a proximity mine.
Then she went like this and told everyone to suck
it. Especially you, Jetstorm. Oof. The Maximals are fighting, but Rattrap gets in there and he wants to plug himself into the pooter. And he's like, oh, things. Okay, but then
with my mask on.
He hears something behind him, though. Guess what, Rattrap, is me, Rhinox. And then he's like, ah!
He turns him blue and he's like, oh no.
Here we are with Eiffel 65 again.
And then he's like lying on the ground.
So during the battle, obviously the Viacon generals come out, Thrust and Jetstorm, and they start fighting. And Black Arachnia, she straddles Jetstorm. He's like, whoa, haven't you ever seen the movie He's Just Not That Into You? That's me.
And you are the you that I'm just not into. And she's like, how dare you? And he's like, no, you is you.
You are you, and I am he. And she's like, now I'm gonna kill you. She flies, and she crashes, and
because nothing says I love you more than grabbing the steering wheel and driving each other off a cliff.
And nothing says I love you more than the gift of a spatula.
I'm sorry, what?
And Thrust, of course, is fighting Cheetor. Cheetor doing, like, fancy tricks and stuff like that, and Thrust is like, yeah. Because he doesn't have much to say at all, actually. He doesn't really have a lot on his mind.
He's still heartbroken that Spider-Bot said no, he doesn't want to go steady with him,
So the doors open, and Optimus is like, I'm just going to go in there and punch Megatron in the face. That'll solve this whole problem. So he zooms in as fast as he can.
Is obviously thinking, he's like, what's the one way to defeat Optimus Primal? I know, open the door and invite him in so he can punch me in the face. He has to open the doors to his throne room to launch more jets.
I think maybe he secretly wanted a face-to-face with Optimus.
I think it's been a while since he's had bodily contact with somebody. He's just craving it. Doesn't matter if it's a punch or a hug.
Especially with Jarvis's little stringy little fingies.
Plus, Jarvis has been acting kind of funny lately, a little distant lately. I really doubt his commitment to the relationship.
I doubt his commitment to Sparkle Motion.
Huh?
We should mention, on the subject of Jarvis being a little bit distant lately, he's really pushing Megatron. He's like, so you should really shoot the things. The Maximals are going to kill us all. Oh, come on, you've got to do the thing. And Megatron's like, whoa, who are you even working for, bozo?
He's going to genocide everybody. And Megatron's like,
I know, Optimus.
he's not the genocidal type.
Please shoot the thing in the core, please.
It's the only way to be sure. And he's like, sure of what? Are you working with the Rhino? And then that's the last of Jarvis.
Yeah, goodbye, Jarvis. You served two masters very well.
Rhino smashes the pad and drives over it.
Now I'm angry. Optimus gets in there and he's like, hey, Megatron, I don't like what you're doing. And man, things get heated from there.
So like with his chest.
Things get a little heated between Megatron and Optimus. And Megatron, as he starts shooting stuff, but he also starts getting real mad about being a dragon. It's the Dragon's Wrath coming up again.
Oh no.
It's just like heartburn. Keeps every night. Oh, it's the Dragon's Wrath. He's out of Tums. Can't keep that Dragon's Wrath down. Optimus is like, I know how I'm gonna beat you. I'm gonna reformat you.
Grabs him a bear hug.
Yeah, and then he starts making things real shiny between them. And Megatron's like, don't you do that! Don't you do that! Oh, he's doing it! Oh, he's doing it! But then Optimus gets hit.
In the back.
Only a big fat rat would shoot a guy in the back. But actually it's a rhino, not a rat. The
Dressed
rat,
up like a tank. And he's all like, haha, I have been preparing this speech for a long time.
You can tell he's rehearsed it. He's been looking in the mirror, going like, okay, next time you see them, this is what you gotta say.
Haha, no, no, not that one.
Optimus gets hit and he turns blue, and suddenly there is Tankor / Rhinox saying, gotcha, sucker. Now I got you, and I owe you. I'm gonna get you, and here's my speech. I'm smarter than you, and ha ha ha.
Everything went according to my plan. And then Megatron's like,
Oh, really? Oh, really, your plan? And then Rhinox is about to shoot him, and then suddenly he can't. And then suddenly he's like trapped. And Megatron's like, ah, April Fools!
knocks him over like a chess piece.
He's like, guess what, doofus? I programmed you so you couldn't hurt me. I got you to do what I wanted, and it was hilarious. You thinking that you had me right where you wanted me? Ha ha ha.
Turns out, actually, according to Megatron, that he needed the rhinoceros's creativity.
You know what they say, Predacons gloat too much. In this case, Viacons as well.
I'm gonna have all of my tanks shoot this thing that's got these fins that starts to turn everything blue. And Optimus is like, not if I can...
I can do it because you may listen to a lot of Eiffel 65, but I listen to a lot of Green Day! And so out comes the power of pop punk out of the ground.
Versus electronic.
And they're battling in the air to completely redesign Cybertron.
Do you have the time to listen to me whine about nothing and everything all at once? I am one of those melodramatic fools, neurotic to the bone, no doubt about it. Sometimes I give myself
And then the things together and stuff happens, and then Thanos snaps his fingers, and Optimus starts getting dusted.
Mr. Megatron, I don't feel so good. And then,
And to be continued. And that is the season finale of Beast Machine's season 1.
uno. I'll go first.
Okay.
Now,
Well, in that case, Predacon Paul, what worked for you?
you know what? I want to hear your thoughts first.
Okay, it looks like what worked with me. So, this episode happened. And when it happened, we watched it.
And when we watched it, we saw that things did indeed happen in the episode.
And not only that,
It was profound.
it had a beginning, a middle,
And,
an end.
yes.
Now-
Yes, tell me more about this
Yes.
beginning, middle, and end.
So things started, and then they continued to happen, and then they eventually did happen, and then finish. Well, it didn't really finish. It did lead a little bit with a cliffhanger.
Okay, yes. This is,
But then the 20 minutes was up, and it was no longer playing.
that is...
Yes.
Tell me more about this. Did you see it coming? Did you?
Well, I mean, I did see it when it was playing. It was very linear.
Very linear. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's like we're trapped with the ability to only perceive time in a linear fashion, you know? But you know, to quote one of the prophets, one of the greats,
Yes.
Do you value your ignorance of things to come?
It's like baseball, right?
It is.
Yes. Baseball is linear.
It's linear. Okay.
It's linear. And so by playing the game, the enjoyment would not be there if you knew the outcome.
Huh. And if you knew the outcome, there'd be no point in watching the game or even playing the game.
Just like if I knew the outcome of this episode, there would be no point in me watching it unless I wanted to watch it again, which I did because I watched this before.
Wow.
So that is my review of Beast Machines. There we
sorry,
go.
I'm clapping wrong. Yes.
All right, so I mean, really, I summed it up. I don't know what else you could add.
There's
So
nothing more you could add.
We're gonna call it there.
Now,
We will be the greatest YouTube reviewers of all time.
now, to sort of piggyback off what you were trying to say, this episode did happen. Like, I was entertained, right? But have you ever felt like something was written on, like, a napkin? Or, like, have you ever forgotten to do your homework? And then, like, on the way to school, you're trying to write the essay as quickly as possible, and then you turn it in and you get, like, an E for effort?
They're like, oh no, we have one more episode to write.
I thought that was oh, shit. So you have 30 minutes to write this. Like, oh, crap. So they write it on a napkin while they're all out at lunch.
So you felt it was a little thrown together?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what I will say is that, because, you know, me saying stuff, it happened. I was really just talking a bunch of nonsense. But it
resonated with me, though.
Oh, really? Okay.
100%. Because after watching it, I kind of had the sense of, like, I didn't articulate it, but, like, in my mind even, but I kind of got the sense, like, well, that happened.
I would say that it does seem like a bit of a letdown considering how much it was building to. Like,
They weren't building to anything, though. This entire season has been just one contrivance after another.
I guess what I mean is from the point of view of, like, well, you know, Rhinox talking like he's got big game, right? Like, he's really, like, he's got this amazing master plan, his pawns are poised, blah, blah, blah. You kind of expect a better master plan than get everyone to shoot guns at a thing. I just feel like the Rhinox's big plan is kind of a letdown.
How was the thing that he never even knew existed a part of the plan? You can't base the plan off the Ark of the Covenant because there's no master plan and, like, putting pieces and pawns and everything together when you don't even know where the thing is. Optimus found it because he had this vision from the Oracle.
But I think the vision from the Oracle was from Rhinox. So I think Rhinox had found it. But that wasn't very clearly conveyed.
How did Rhinox tell the Oracle anything? The last time he made contact with the Oracle, she zapped him and threw him away.
So yeah, Jarvis can get in there. Now that's the thing. I still don't understand how Jarvis, a drone that's just can be easily hacked and has no spark, can get into the Oracle and tamper with it. I just don't understand how that happens.
He didn't tamper with it, though. He just went, oh, a key. And then was like, oh, Vector Sigma.
Well, see, he came out of it earlier in this episode saying, like, oh, I did the thing. I'm like, well, how and why? There's a few things that I'm very unclear about. So
no, there's a very few things that they were unclear about.
I guess so. Like, my enjoyment for the episode comes with the more character-driven stuff because the plot isn't really working. So Optimus choosing to listen to Cheetor, realizing that he's pushing too far. Ratchap, I think, is very, like, putting together those little, like, proximity mines with the vines. You know, like him showing his ingenuity and his sort of, like, demolition expert background.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Black Arachne was essentially useless in the episode.
I think she had like 3 lines in this entire
She was at this point, she's just kind of there to fill in the troops. Same with Bat Boy. He's not doing anything.
And they have a scene together where he catches her and she's like,
oh, thank you.
And he's like, I'm grabbing your boobs right now.
And I like that Megatron knows Optimus better than Rhinox realizes Megatron knows Optimus.
Yeah, which was awesome.
So
he's like, haha, he's gonna do the thing, and he's like, no, he won't.
Yeah, Megatron's like, no, Optimus, come on.
And I called it.
You did call it that fact that Megatron
Megatron knew.
He knew.
Megatron is not stupid. He's many things. A megalomaniac.
Paranoid.
Paranoid, yeah.
Very insecure about his inner beast.
About his lizard.
Yeah. But he's not an idiot.
He's not stupid. I feel like when Rhinox died, he was just like, oh, well. He didn't even give it a second's thought, which is par for the course with Megatron when he loses troops. But in this case, there was almost like not even an acknowledgement that it even really happened. I'm really glad that Megatron knew, because if he didn't, I would have been pissed.
Because so much of the season has had Megatron very sidelined, and it sometimes does feel like they're not utilizing him properly to finally feel like, okay, he does have control over the situation. Makes it feel like, okay, yes, he is actually the villain of the piece.
Yeah, and he doesn't have to physically be there and do everything, because it's all going according to plan. To sort of touch on what you were talking about with the pawns, the way it culminated into Rhinox rolling into Megatron's throne room and be like, haha, I won. See, everything went according to my plan. Just seemed almost petty. It's like for everything to just get to that point to where Megatron and Optimus are fighting, he's like, yes, everything's going according to plan. I've got Megatron and Optimus ready to kill each other. I really liked the symbolism, too. Rhinox did a lot of talking about the pawns, right? Megatron is just a pawn. Optimus is just a pawn. And they've got their pawns, right? The Viacons and the Maximals. Megatron calls him a pawn, right? Even though Rhinox thinks of himself as obviously the king because he has the pawns. And then he attaches him in that stasis field, so he's stuck, and then he just knocks him over like when you lose in chess, you knock your piece over.
Yeah.
You knock the king over. It's like, I concede. And so he did that. He did that to Rhinox, knocked him over. He's like,
That's actually, yeah, I like that too.
it was a really good piece of symbolism right there. But I feel like the stakes were artificially generated. I feel like the stakes... Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, you're wrong.
Okay. All right. Well, then I give this a 5 out of 5.
There we go.
But did anybody ever mention that there was this plasma core that was giving life to all things?
No, this is the first time we've seen it as far as I know, or have heard of it.
Then why does Optimus have the ability to control it?
And that is also not explained at all. It's one of those things like with Superman, is that different writers will attribute different powers to Superman depending on what they want him to be able to do in that comic or show or whatever. Superman needs to be able to wipe memories by kissing Lois Lane.
What?
It's Superman 2. Lois Lane figures out who he is, so what does he do? He kisses her and she just forgets. I'm like, that's not a power.
Doesn't he fly around the Earth and make it go back in time?
That's well, that was another case where he had a power where he could fly fast enough that he reversed time. It's just like, what do we need Supes to be able to do? And the answer is whatever we want him to do. And I feel like it's kind of the same as Optimus, where it's like, we need Optimus in this episode to be able to reformat Mr. Bat. We need Optimus in this episode to be able to conjure up the power of this plasma core.
And use it like a bolt of lightning.
And apparently that's just something he can do now. It's in his power set. Whatever we want him to do, he can do it.
So he's going to kiss Megatron?
And Megatron's going to forget everything. He's going to be like, so I'm a Tyrannosaurus Rex? Where's my second command? Scorponok! If I can reference an old show, you may have heard of it, Beast Wars.
I've heard of it.
Okay, so season 1 did leave on a cliffhanger. But here's the difference, is that they also kind of wrapped up the story to some extent as well. There was a cliffhanger, but also there was an amount of finality in that Optimus saved the planet, mission accomplished. Here, nothing's really wrapped up at all. It's just more cliffhanger.
It's like we need to get the audience back.
It doesn't really feel like there's any sense of completion. It's just more like leaving you wanting. I mean, it's good to be left wanting more, but it's not. I'm not satisfied essentially either. You don't even really know what's happening at the end. Optimus is getting dusted, but like.
Well, that was the Thanos snap, right?
Yeah.
I think they're suffering from a problem where I don't think they even really know what they want to do with the show. And all jokes aside, I really feel like they went into this without a plan.
I would even say, actually, the problem is the opposite, in that the problem is that they did have a plan. They planned out the first 2 seasons completely. And so what we're looking at is, it doesn't feel like the completion of a first season. It just looks like just another cliffhanger. If they were canceled and there was no season 2, then almost like season 1 would be completely useless because there's no payoff. And that you need the second season to have that payoff. And I kind of felt that like when... Did you ever watch those Mark Webb, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies?
Yeah. They were so good.
Spider-Man 2 kind of felt like it didn't really have a purpose other than to start the next chapter. I always felt like I watched it and I'm like, how good this movie is depends on how good the next one is, because it's all just kind of trying to lead up to something else. Then there was no part 3, and they're like, oh well, and I guess it's just a useless movie that has no...
It wasn't part 3.
Well, I mean, No Way Home would be, but you know, like, that's just kind of a miracle that happened. that is some other filmmaker fixing a problem from before. So kudos to the team who made No Way Home, and my apologies to Mark Webb, because I know he was essentially a director for hire, and it was a more systemic problem than him as a director. That's neither here nor there. But I've lost track of how these things connect.
No, you were saying that the second movie doesn't work on its own because it felt like it was leading up to a third movie.
And it's kind of the same with this cliffhanger. Is that
but I can't see where it's going. I don't know where this story's going.
I do agree. One of the issues is that there's no clear objective for the main players in the...
Yeah, they just seem to amble around. And there's fun little character moments, but those are tiny little nuggets and little seeds that might blossom into something, but nothing really changes. They're still hiding in caves. They're still trying to figure out what's going on. And Megatron is still in his throne room going, yes, plans, lots of plans. The entire planet is sterile and static. Nothing is happening. I feel like that's a visual representation of the story as well. It's just sitting there. And all of a sudden, Oracle, Plasma Storm, keys to the Vector Sigma storm. Here's the thing. I don't want to hate on this episode. I really don't. Because I did enjoy it. It was a nice way of just blasting 20 minutes. Yeah. But there's certain things that just felt really, really rushed. What happened to the whole I'm freaking out and then like jumping and like crashing into things?
That's true. They are actually, it's inconsistent with how it was before.
Now they're like, oh, blue. And he's like, no, blue. And they're like, like,
it's true. They become suddenly very
docile
and they're just lying there going like, ugh.
Maybe they retroactively watched after watching our review, and they went back and changed it. That's a good idea.
Oh, we should do it that way.
But they can only go back in time so far,
right?
So they just changed this episode.
Well, because if they changed the other one, then they wouldn't have had the influence to change. And thus they would have created a time storm.
Dude.
That would create...
Everything would be destroyed.
yeah. Time itself would be destroyed.
We're going to give this episode 2 planet core thingies that we definitely knew existed that Optimus can control with his mind for some reason.
Definitely.
Not much to say about this episode. And I don't want to hate on it. It felt like maybe like you were saying, an incomplete part of a larger story.
It is a little disappointing as a season finale. Whatever we thought it was building to didn't really equal that much. Of course, I still want to see where it goes. And of course, we are committed to finishing Beast Machines Monday. Don't worry, everybody. We're not going anywhere. Although, we're probably not going to have another episode until the new year of Beast Machines Monday because we have something special planned for Christmas. So. What did you think of End of the Line? Let us know in the comments down below. Did you like it? Are we being too rough on it? Did we take it in the back of the 7-Eleven and beat it up after school? Were we that rough on it? Or, are our complaints valid? Thank you so much for watching Beast Machines Monday. We'll see you again sometime real soon.
And as always, tell your mom.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it'll get better.